how there are two versions of Bucket of Blood on Tubi, and one of them just immediately cuts to like the big guy doing his poetry immediately, and the other one has the actual logos beforehand.
Oh, okay. I was gonna think it was one of them would be the remake from the 90s.
Was there a remake?
I looked it up on Letterboxd. When I type in Bucket of Blood, a second movie pops up from 1990 that's from the that's directed by the guy who voiced Gandhi in Clone High. And it's called like The Killer Artist or something like that. It's supposed to be Bucket of Blood, a remake, but then it's under a different title. Yeah, it's
Okay,
called.
there's one that there's the post says the Death Artist, but the other thing just says Bucket of Blood.
Yeah, and I think it's
No, it
blatantly
has
a
the same
remake.
plot.
Yeah, it's blatantly a remake
It's
because
also on Tubi.
Corman executive produced it. I was thinking of watching it, but nah. All right, William, anything else to say? Yeah, I figured as much. Hello, welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I am your host, Hal. With me here today, I got William.
So is that how you're going to open this? You're just going to have it start by saying, "So William, anything else?" And then just say "come," and that's the opening?
Yeah.
Okay. James, who are you again?
I forget. I think I have like a YouTube channel or something, but I honestly don't remember. It's been too long. I forget.
I remember you're the biggest Roger Corman fan out of all of us.
Oh, yeah. Right.
You did give the first movie we're talking about the highest score out of all of us.
Yeah,
hilariously.
that's pretty wild.
See, yeah.
That is pretty wild,
You know what? As a joke, I brought you on this episode because we were talking about two Roger Corman movies. I say as a joke, I don't actually mean that. You are the biggest Roger Corman fan officially now because you gave it the highest score out of all of us.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am James Schaffrillas, and I do not like the Roger Corman movies that I've seen. I think he's a cool guy, I guess, from what I've read about him. But every time William and Hal show me a Roger Corman movie, it's usually one of the bad ones because he's made a lot, and they're not all good, obviously.
There's also the
I don't know.
the context of, is it him directing or him producing? Because he's produced far more than he's directed, obviously, because that's the easier part.
The key word you said there was he's made a lot of films, which is true. Which is more true than saying he's made good films. He's made a lot of films.
Yeah.
You know, it's very funny.
Quantity over quality.
In the Corman's World documentary, there's like everyone talking how much they loved him as a person, and like a couple of times, like Ron Howard or Jack Nicholson will even like throw a stray saying he's really good at making movies. Sometimes by sheer accident, he even make a good one.
That's great. Yeah, this is the first one I think I've watched, the first Roger Corman movie I've watched that I've enjoyed, and yeah, even more so than you guys, surprisingly. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but yeah.
The movie, I just didn't say, like, it doesn't blow me away, but like, for what this is, yeah, pretty fine.
Yeah.
Like, the first movie we're talking about is Bucket of Blood, and this is a very perfectly fine movie.
Yeah. I don't know, I just really got into it. Like, it's such a simple, like, premise. It's like, there's no, like, extraneous fluff in the movie. Like, it's only 65 minutes, I think. But it's just, like, such a nice, breezy watch, and it's just such a funny concept. Like, it's a very funny movie.
To be fair, they couldn't afford to make the movie longer than 65 minutes.
That's true. I will say, we don't need to get into this yet, but I will say it might have the most abrupt ending I've ever seen in a movie, and one of the funniest ones as well. I don't even know where to start with that.
The thing here is that, like, I feel like in terms of, like, because I looking it up, apparently this is, like, the first in, like, a trilogy, kind of comedies that Corman and the other guy made together that were dark comedies. And of the three, this, Little Shop, and Creature from the Haunted Sea, this is the one that's the most successful at being a comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so is that the same guy who's the lead in this? Did he play Seymour in Little Shop then?
No, that was Jonathan Hayes, but Dick Miller is in Little Shop.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Because Corman did have, like, a stable of actors who, like, always came around. And, like, Jack Nicholson Corman found Jack Nicholson outright. Like
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson was like taking acting classes somewhere, and one day Roger just strolled in there with a big smile on his face because he wanted to learn how to act too to help make movies better. And he met Jack, and then pulled out from his back pocket like the contract to work for him.
That's great.
Of course he
What
did.
a guy!
What a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to mention, even though I really enjoyed A Bucket of Blood, and even though I'm a massive fan of like Little Shop of Horrors, the musical and the movie musical, I really did not enjoy the original Roger Corman movie. Like, it just, I don't know, it's just not as good in a lot of ways. And that's why I find it fascinating that I actually did like A Bucket of Blood, which is basically the same plot, like generally the same plot as Little Shop. So it's like, I don't know why it just worked here and it didn't.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
the thing
talking plant.
that surprised me because like I'm the nicest to the original Little Shop out of all of us, but now finally watching this because I've known for the longest time that Little Shop was made because the sets from this movie were still available and they wanted to take advantage of that. It's hilarious how the sets weren't the only thing that Little Shop took.
Yeah.
It's practically the same movie, just they changed things around. Like, oh, it's he's a florist now, and instead of making sculptures, he's feeding things to a plant. And
Yeah.
that's probably like might be why the original Little Shop is not that great because at face value, that premise is incredible. It's more incredible than what the movie can actually muster because they have like $12 to work with.
Right.
Which is what makes the later versions better because like it effectively got the Thing treatment. It got the Blob treatment. The Fly treatment. Where it got an 80s remake that actually lives up to the amazing premise.
Yeah. Part of me was like watching A Bucket of Blood and thinking maybe this could have the same treatment. Like someone could really like flesh this story out, do like a modern remake of it that actually like makes it longer than 65 minutes and like adds a lot to the story. Like I think that could be really good and really funny. And it's rare that I say that like an old movie should be remade because it's like most of them leave them alone. But like this one, you know, it's only an hour long. Like you definitely could get more out of it, I feel like. And this is a very funny premise. I guess the only thing is it is like just Little Shop of Horrors. So like we already know this premise. So you don't really need to do that much with it. But like on its own though, I feel like you can flesh this out.
I feel like you like take this one-to-one and make it just a stage play as well. Like it very much has that quality of, because there's only like 2 real sets, his apartment and the club and like the outside, that you can make this a stage play 1-to-1 and be perfectly fine. Mind you,
definitely.
It'd be a 60-minute play, so I don't know how successful that would be, but you know.
And when we say we're adapting it to like modern senses, would we like modernize it and make it take place in modern day, or would we keep that late 50s beatnik aesthetic? Because I feel like that aesthetic really is part of the movie's DNA.
Yeah, like you'd have to like you have to keep like the artist themes around, like that jazz style. Because modern art in the 50s and modern art today are 2 different beasts.
Yeah. I feel like it's crucial, too, to take place in that time period because, like, in a modern setting, I'm pretty sure everyone would have figured out that those were real people and a real cat immediately. They would have, like, taken pictures of it and, like, you know, with their phone cameras and, like, maybe posted it online. And people would be like, wait a minute. Wait. And it's like...
Unless he's, like, secretly actually good.
Yeah.
I mean,
plus it's like, oh, how did nobody notice that like these people went missing the same time sculptures of these people that looked like them started popping up? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And if you go in more on the horror aesthetic, then you just make House of Wax or Mystery of the Wax Museum or Tourist Trap.
Right.
At which point
you have
those
options.
already exist.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like what makes this one different from those though is that it does kind of, it is more of a comedy in that sense because all the artists are so up their own asses that they're, I guess, distracted that they don't realize that people are going missing. And I feel like that kind of adds to the comedy of it.
To be fair, there's also actually 2 people that went missing. Well, I guess 3 at the end,
Yeah, because you have the guy that gets his head cut off.
I guess we should probably actually talk about what the plot of the movie is now.
Oh yeah. We haven't really like explained the plot.
It's Little Shop, except not.
It's a better Little Shop from the 60s. Incredible.
And it's from 1959.
Wow. Amazing.
Okay, so I guess who wants to actually say what the plot is?
I can read the back of this DVD box.
I can read the one sentence on Tubi.
All right, you go first, and then I'll go second.
A frustrated artist gets acclaim for a plaster-covered dead cat that is mistaken as a skillful statuette. Starring Dick Miller.
That's about... Yeah, that's a part of it, I would say. All right, now...
That's the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, let's read my thing. In a jumpin' Java joint filled to the brim with kooky beatniks, poets, and hipsters, an artist wannabe discovers he has a talent for modern art and murder. Dripping with blood, social satire, and sick comedy from the Film Daily. This film, according to critic Leonard Maltin...
From Critters. From Little Critter Leonard Maltin.
Nicely captures the spirit of the beatnik era and zips along with vibes of counterculture creepiness. Walter, Dick Miller, is a busboy overly impressed with the cool cats who hang out at the Yellow Door Coffee House, and he wonders how to become hip. When he accidentally kills his landlady's pet cat, Walter panics and covers it with clay. His prayers are answered, and before he knows it, he's the cat's meow of the art world. His talent develops, and surprise, he can sculpt humans the same way too. Like so many artists, his real talent won't be discovered until he's dead.
Spoilers. Oh no.
Okay.
One paragraph.
That is the best DVD backside I've ever read.
Yeah. That's incredible.
So that's the movie.
Yep. Yeah.
Like we said, Little Shop, except not.
Little Shop, except it's a lot simpler, which also means that like it's better because it does everything that it needs to perfectly.
Yeah, and I feel like the artist social commentary, because that's basically all it is just the over complication that comes with artist interpretation and things, and just calling that out. It's cute, you know? I found it cute in this movie because, well, one, it's Roger Corman in a very cheaply made film trying to stick it to the beatnik era. I don't think he's doing so with any malice.
He's not doing it with any I looked it up because he actually did hang out with those people, and he does like those people.
Yeah.
So it was like a loving jab.
It absolutely feels like a loving jab. Yeah, none of these characters, even though they are pretentious and up their own ass, it's not for the sake of making them seem like stereotypes or seem like idiots. It's for comedy's sake. It's supposed to be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a nice, like, refreshingly straightforward film.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like it's trying to, like, I don't know. It's not saying anything overly pretentious or anything, or, like, again, mean towards, like, this era or, like, these kinds of people. Like, it's just a nice, like, simple horror comedy story.
Yeah.
And it, like, uses these elements to support that. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
You guys like Wheat Germ?
Oh, yeah, that was a funny bit. I like when he describes it. I love that part where he describes the disgusting breakfast, and he's like, "Oh no, I'll pass. Looks great though, or sounds great though." I like the main character's
what he was just told,
too.
but he's like, "Sounds great." No.
Yeah, sounds great. No. Yeah, Walter Paisley, played by Dick Miller, he's more often than not a character actor, so he's never really the main lead, but I also liked him as the main lead in this one too.
Yeah, because spoiler, he's in the next movie we're talking about as well, but he's just like a side character in that.
Yeah,
but like you see him in other things too. Like he was a bit role in Piranha when we watched that a little bit. He's in every Joe Dante movie.
Yep, he's in the Terminator.
So he was in. He's in Gremlins. Let's look up Dick Miller's filmography real quick because my man's been around.
He was Chucky Saul in Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
He's a waiter in After Hours.
Wow.
He
worked with everyone.
Okay, apparently he's in Shopping Mall, and his character is just straight up Walter Paisley again.
I remember that. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh yeah, because Targets uses stock footage of the terror in it, his character shows up in there, I guess.
Oh, that's how they get around it. That's why he's credited in Targets. That's hilarious.
Yeah, because they reuse footage of it. Because Targets Boris Karloff plays the main role.
Yeah.
Which the terror actually directly leads into that movie getting funding because Boris owed Corman a favor afterwards, which is very funny.
Oh, we'll get to it.
He's the police chief in Rock and Roll High School, which also produced by Corman. That's simply with the Ramones.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a couple. He's probably in a couple sections in Amazon Women on the Moon.
Yeah, and we mentioned he's in the original Little Shop. He's the guy who eats flowers.
Yeah. He's himself in the documentary That Guy Dick Miller.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
He's in V the Final Battle. He's been around a lot. Just a very well-known character actor. He passed away back in 2019, but he's been in more almost 200 movies.
Apparently, yeah. It says he's credited as being in over like 200 movies, but he only has 180 on Letterboxd. So it's like, what movies don't count? That's interesting.
I mean, it's probably like
man, only 180 movies. That's rookie numbers.
Gotta pump those numbers up.
Maybe like his shows up like archival footage or something.
Right? Yeah.
He was Uncle Willie in Demon Knight.
Of course he was.
Oh yeah. Also, yeah, I was looking on his Wikipedia page, and then I went to the A Bucket of Blood Wikipedia page, and it turns out this has actually been adapted into a musical. Back in like 2009, apparently.
Okay,
I've never heard of this. Like I'm a huge musical guy. I've never heard of this, but yeah, somebody did indeed make it into a stage show.
Well, there you go. So
that's cool.
We predicted the future, but we were 15 years off.
Premonitions in past tense.
Yeah, premonition. We're really good at predicting things in the past.
Produced by Chicago's Annoyance Theater.
That's real?
The Annoyance Theater.
Yeah.
Incredible. Oh, there's actually two musical productions. There's another one that came out in 2023 entitled Did You See What Walter Paisley Did Today?
Okay. Incredible. Interesting. I see.
Yeah, so clearly this is like something a lot of people have ideas on how to adapt into a stage show.
He played Walter Paisley in multiple movies because he's also Walter Paisley, bookstore owner in The Howling.
Yeah.
That is just the character name that he likes the most.
He was born to play Walter Paisley.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah, Twilight Zone the movie, Walter Paisley. Night of the Creeps, Walt. I was gonna say, he's Walter Paisley again in another movie, but that axe just hovered over a bucket of blood, so never mind. That one doesn't count.
He's even Walter Paisley in a bucket of blood.
That one doesn't count. He's Pizza Man in The Hole,
which is AKA Walter Paisley.
He's the mole in Premature Burial, which is also Walter Paisley.
Also Walter Paisley.
Hollywood Boulevard. He's Walter Paisley.
Okay.
That's so true.
Anything else? He's just Walter Paisley.
Going back to the actual movie that we're discussing, I like Hal, what you said about parts of it feeling cute. I will say I also kind of felt that towards the end when it's like the ghosts of the people he killed start talking to him, but it's just like they don't appear. It's just like their off-screen voices. Yes. It's just that felt really like quaint and really cute too.
It's just like Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It just felt like a product of the time. Like we didn't really show like any ghost effects or like supernatural effects. It's just we literally just have their voiceover off screen.
Yeah,
like,
it's
that's
a really
all he could do budget wise.
It's a really cheesy way of showing his guilt because he's guilty for having killed all those people.
It's likely like him imagining it at that point.
Yeah. Yeah,
like it tonally felt very in line with the rest of the film. Like it didn't really feel like too dark or anything or too much of a dark turn. Like it was a little tongue in cheek, a little bit goofy, and I like that. It fit right in.
Yeah.
So I hovered over a movie on Letterboxd called Hanukkah from 2019. Dick Miller's role, Rabbi Walter Paisley.
Oh my god! He can't keep getting away with this.
That's amazing.
He's Officer Paisley.
Walter Paisley is just a great like character name. Like I don't blame Roger Corman for keeping that up.
Well, I mean, he's actually has Corman's involvement at this point. I think he just likes the name.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, that's all the Walter Paisleys I could find.
You found them all.
We found all the Paisleys.
Yeah. We're collecting them like
Hooray.
Infinity Stones.
But yeah. Honest to God, like really, the only thing really holding the movie back is obviously the budget, which like you can't do anything about that because
Right.
Because Corman probably funded this by himself at this point still. So it's like everything he makes, he needs to make money off of. So they have to be cheap.
Yeah. And
You can't afford not to make money off of it.
And that ties into the cute aspect with the film. It is so low budget that there's really nothing that insane in terms of effects or something like that. I guess the sculptures themselves are...
Yeah, they're not great, but like, you know, they get the point across. They look like something that you would actually sculpt to, which they probably did.
Yeah.
And the fact that the movie's in black and white also helps, because if it was in color... no.
No, it would not work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess like a plot. Walter works at the club. He wants to be an artist, but he has like no talent. He goes home to try to sculpt something. Suddenly, there's a cat in his wall because the cat got loose and got stuck in the crawl space, I guess. At this point, Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia comes onto the scene because they're speaking his language. Okay, see, neither of you have watched that show.
Yeah, that reference is lost on me.
Nope.
Damn.
Yeah, IDK.
Some Pennsylvanian you are.
Yeah, I have an excuse.
Man. Hey, I only lived in Philly for like 4 years. I can't confirm if it's always sunny there or not.
You can watch the show.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show either.
Well, you finished Sopranos, so there's your next job.
Yeah, okay.
He starts watching the show. First episode is called "The Gang Gets Racist."
Oh no.
But yeah. So he tries to get out by carving a hole in the wall for the cat to come out of. So he accidentally immediately stabs the cat.
Which is shitty.
I like how you're explaining. Yeah, I like how you're explaining the plot now after we've been talking about it for like 20 minutes already.
We've only been talking about the movie for half the runtime of the movie before we actually explains what happens in the movie.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's Roger Corman for you.
Instead of telling the landlady what happened, he panics and he walks away and said what happens to him. He covers it in clay to pass off as a sculpture, even leaving the fucking knife inside.
And people love it. They think they think it's a really artistic statement of what you might
what
ask.
does he call the statue?
Murder cat, right? Isn't that what he calls
I
it?
think it's just dead cat. It's just dead cat.
Dead cat. That's what it was. It was something very blatant, which made it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he is not hiding anything throughout this entire movie, and yet everyone is just loving it except for Leonard because he actually figured it out. Which my favorite part of the movie was after he says he made a second sculpture. By this point, Leonard knows how he made the cat and was going to try to expose him, but then didn't. So he he says, "So what do you call this next sculpture?" And he just goes, "Murdered Man." And you can just see Leonard's soul leaving his body. Because he knows exactly what had just happened.
Yeah, Leonard's a smart guy.
Not okay.
Yeah, that was great.
This is just a thing I realized. Leonard, every time I saw him in the movie, I thought he was played by Stanley Tucci. Like, I know realistically it wasn't because I don't think Stanley Tucci was born yet. But he looked a lot like Stanley Tucci throughout the majority of the runtime. My brain was telling me that's Stanley Tucci.
What do you guys feel about the murdered man statue?
It expresses so much with the split down his head from the, what was that, the frying pan that he
it was like,
hit him in the head with?
the weird ass frying pan.
I love that it was just like one hit from the frying pan instantly killed him.
That's
so funny.
What a shitty cop that you had your gun out already and you still got murked by a frying pan. What a shitty cop.
I was gonna say, like, there was no way Walter could have done that without the guy shooting him, but like, I don't know. That just kind of ties into like how cute and quaint the film is. That it's like that doesn't really bother me. It's just like the tone kind of supports a wacky thing like that happening. So I don't mind about like unrealistic parts of the movie.
And now the cop will have a splitting headache.
For 2 seconds until he's not alive anymore.
Yeah. Short headache.
I do like how the film kind of does like the Seymour thing with him, where like he starts out innocent, but then gets more and more directly involved. Now, to a lesser degree, there's less bodies here, but you know, where like the first one, thing, the cat is a complete accident. The second one, like you can argue self-defense. It wouldn't pass in court because it was a cop, but like it was self-defense because he thought he was going to get shot.
But then by the
third one is just blatantly murder.
Yeah, blatantly murder at that point. Yeah,
completely premeditated murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good like progression to his character. It definitely makes him a lot like less likable than Seymour. Like Seymour kind of felt like he, killed people out of like just the circumstance that he was in, and it's like you could sort of see the justification for like why he did all those things.
For Mushnick specifically, because in the musical, Seymour is directly trying to get Mushnick to die at that point, but in the movie, it kind of gives him more laissez-faire, where Mushnick kind of leads into his own death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but like Oren,
exactly.
it's like Oren had it coming, so like you're not sad that he died, but Mushnick was like, depending on which version you're watching, then it's like, okay, whether or not Seymour actually is responsible for it. Whereas here it's like he is directly responsible for like Alice, I think is her name's death. And he was going to be responsible for like the other girl at the end before she found out what was about to happen.
Yeah, like he's legitimately like the villain of this. Like he progresses into the villain.
Yeah.
There's not like a plant telling him what to do. He doesn't have that excuse.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point too. He doesn't have an outside force kind of egging him on. This is his own doing by the end of it.
It's not a Faustian bargain. It's straight up just, I am going to kill people to get money later.
Yeah.
Yeah. He like lets the fame go to his head entirely, and he's like just he becomes okay with murder, I guess.
Forgets that he has real talent.
Yeah, I like the one conversation he has where the other girl, the main girl, is like really scared, and she's like, "What did you do?" And he's like, "I made them immortal." It's like this weird way of justifying it. It's because at that point, it's very fucked up, but it's like
at that point, it's completely gone to his head.
Yeah,
that he's believing his own bullshit.
Yeah,
because like after like the main beatnik guy does his poem about him, at that point he's like he's now fully believing it himself. Walter Paisley is born. Which, can we talk about the slam poetry scene for a second with like fucking Dick Miller in the Burger King crown?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That was so good.
Walter Paisley is born. As they shout from the rooftops, Walter Paisley is born. And he's just holding his silly little cane, wearing the Burger King crown.
The funny
cheap
part,
ass paper crown.
The funny part is that's not a cane, that's a plunger.
Oh, really? Nice. That's something then.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that we're saying the fame is going to his head, but he's never famous. He's just popular amongst a small group of artists at this.
He only ever actually got $50.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, to be fair, inflation-wise, that's $500 today. But still, he only got $50 out of this.
Yeah, which again, I think that ties into the comedy aspect. All this feeds into his ego, and really, he's not doing anything but impressing a couple of beatniks at some random coffee shop in LA.
And two of which are always high.
Two of which are always high.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes it a lot funnier knowing that.
Can we talk about how to go in on Lou being a shitty cop? So my man Lou is staking out the yellow house or whatever just to like pick up druggies and arrest them. You're telling me that at no point in that night, it's like there are blatantly people who are just already high and smoking. He does not arrest any of them, specifically waits for this one dude who clearly has no idea what is going on to be handed heroin that he doesn't even know is heroin, just to follow him home to arrest him. Fucker had it coming.
Real convenient.
Yeah.
My man had it coming at that point. Like,
Boy.
nah, Lou L, you deserve the frying pan.
Oh, Lou.
See, I would kind of explain it as it seems as though the stone guys are just stoned on weed, and he's looking specifically for heroin. But this was the 50s, and I would assume both
It's
weed
not
and heroin
my
were
point.
kind of on the same level of fear-mongering.
I mean, it's even today, depending on where you live, weed would still get you arrested for that.
Right, yeah, I guess it depends on the state.
Because, like, I feel like in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, it still just is illegal outright, right?
Maybe. I have no idea.
I don't think it's been decriminalized.
No, because it's been decriminalized up here in Mass because every other corner there's a fucking cannabis shop. So I guess
Yeah.
I guess I forget it's not completely
And, like,
decriminalized around the country.
I think in, like, LA and Colorado, I think it's just legal completely.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, exactly.
I think so.
So
I think
Yeah.
Puff told us that in Ohio it's decriminalized.
I would believe that too. Yeah.
But yeah, like,
Okay.
it's all very modern stuff. Like back then, weed is just illegal. That's when like Reefer Madness was still viewed as a legitimate movie.
Right. So that's why so that's why like maybe not. Maybe it's just Lou, I don't know what you were doing. You're just not very good at your job. You deserve the frying pan.
Well, now he
Yeah.
can't do his job anymore.
Yeah, no.
Now he has a new role as murdered man.
Well, he is
Yeah.
immortal now.
What was the name of the Alice
True.
statue? Like strangled woman or something?
Choked bitch.
I forget.
That's what Hal would call it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. She was a bitch.
Yes. Oh yeah.
She still didn't deserve to get murdered.
No. At least
Yeah.
embarrassed. Yeah. Like, and that's what
Like,
he was already
yeah.
doing. He was already embarrassing her amongst the group. You know.
So she was completely correct about everything she was saying too.
Sure. Yes. Exactly. She was correct. But she didn't have to be.
has to go.
It's true, but she shouldn't say it.
Well, I guess she shouldn't have, because otherwise she would have still been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just
Yep.
like, how did no one figure out what was happening when she was blatantly in the strangle pose? You know, did he leave the scarf in the sculpture? It looked as if she still has it around her neck.
Yeah. It looks like he took it off, put all the clay on, and then wrapped it around her again, or just really carefully put the clay around the scar. No, that's stupid, even for a Corman movie.
He put the clay around the knife in the cat.
Yeah, that's different though.
That's a cat.
Yeah, that's a cat.
You know, honestly, the cat's fine because it has 8 more lives.
That's true. Yeah, what are we so worried about the cat dying?
Yeah. This should be a
Exactly.
part in the Fritz the Cat movie.
Oh, that
Where,
would be so good. Fuck.
But yeah, I think we should talk about the very ending.
Okay, so we want to talk about the very ending where he runs around the same streets that Seymour runs around in the Little Shop ending when he's being chased by the police.
Yeah.
Wow,
Well, wait a minute.
crazy. What
Oh,
a
well,
crazy
see,
coincidence.
It's different because in Bucket of Blood, it's a lumber yard. In Little Shop, it's a tire yard. Very different.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
yeah.
actually, before then, we still need to talk about the last victim because it's the funniest one.
Oh, yeah. He
Yes.
just walks
He
into...
just finds some random guy.
He's just like, I gotta make more art. He just walks into like a fucking factory, finds one dude, just like, who the fuck are you? Walter Paisley is born!
and chops his head off using the saw.
Yeah.
And he goes up to Leonard the next morning. I made a new sculpture. He hands him the clay-covered head. Leonard looks at it and then looks over at the alleyway. He sees the news guy saying, "Extra, extra! Man murdered, chopped in half!" Extra,
Oh yeah, that was
extra!
great too with the fucking
Read off!
newsboy. Yeah, that's so good. That was like the natural point of Walter's insanity. Like that was where you go like, okay, he's really lost his fucking mind. Like that wasn't even premeditated like Alice was. Like he just found a random dude and just chopped his fucking head off. It's like, here, new sculpture. That was just, oh man. I think that's where the absurdity of the situation really sets in. I mean, obviously it's been absurd the entire movie, but that's really where it's like, damn, he's just gonna
The
keep
movie
doing
is
this.
called A Bucket of Blood, and even though there is a bucket of blood in the movie, it has no plot relevance.
Oh yeah, That was like when the Lou
He
got
has
murdered
the body
and
in
there
his
was, like,
ceiling, and it just starts dripping down, and he puts like a bucket underneath it to catch it. So there is a bucket of blood in the movie. It has no plot relevance.
Yeah, I
'Cause
was gonna say, like, I
I
started
thought
to
it was gonna
feel
be like
like,
the smoking
oh,
gun.
yeah, I thought like,
Like I
oh,
saw,
that's
like,
the bucket of blood. That it's relevant, and then it just
and then
didn't
someone's gonna
become
come to his
relevant at
apartment
any
later
point.
and find it, and that's how he gets outed. No, he gets outed because he was an idiot and didn't actually cover over someone's finger, so they just see the dead body underneath.
One finger.
Yeah.
They find it at the second time they see the sculpture, for the record, because they already saw the sculpture before.
Yeah, and then they
They
just
just didn't notice until like 2 days later that, wait a minute, this is an actual woman.
they touch it once. It like the clay smears off, and then you see her finger, and then they're like, "Wait a second, hold on, this is real."
Oh, wait just a minute.
So that's why they don't let us touch the art at museums.
It's all
An assassination of the artist. And also that one guy, I guess. What did Banksy mean by this?
people. Yeah. Okay,
So,
but wait,
yeah,
we're
the
talking
ending.
about the ending, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the ending.
I don't know. Do you guys want to explain it?
This one's all William.
Okay, so apparently I have to do this now. The ending of the movie, after he gets found out, he gets chased by the cops, and there's like a big fucking Benny Hill chase. But Walter goes back to his apartment, and then like, where can I hide? It was basically like he's trying to hide or something, and he's like, the only place I know where to hide, well, they won't find me. And he picks up the clay. So it's like, oh, he's gonna cover himself in the clay, and it's gonna be like an Achilles, like a hoist by his own petard kind of thing, where like he accidentally covers himself in too much clay and he can't get out at the end. But no, he covers himself in a little bit of clay and then fucking hangs himself.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all.
See,
And then everyone just walks in and then looks up and sees him hanging there for a little with like clay on his clothing, and then just like, well, I guess he would have called this one "Hang the Man." The end.
what I love, what I love about that is that I was so thinking they were actually going to go through with the whole "I'm going to cover myself in clay," because that is an absurd thing to do as a getaway. Like, they'll never catch me, covers himself in clay. But then the sheer just out of nowhereness of it just cutting to him hanging makes that even funnier in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like a perfect misdirection. I don't know if that was like intentional, like, but yeah, that was so shocking.
Which again, then the Little Shop a year later would steal by having Seymour accidentally crawl into Audrey 2 and then getting eaten.
See, that one's more thematically relevant, but
correct.
Yeah, but at least here, this one's far more shocking, making it even funnier. Again, making it the funniest comedy that we've seen from Corman thus far, on purpose.
Yeah, it's like the ending shot being like a guy hanging himself should not be as funny as it is, but I don't know, I can't describe it. It just is. It's so unexpected, and it's like at this point he kind of deserves it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, I was already like really into the movie, obviously, but that last shot just like sealed the deal.
Do you guys want to hear some fun facts about the movie? The DVD I have comes with some fun facts on the back.
Boy, sure.
Ooh, sure.
All right. Fun fact number 1. When the producer finished the movie earlier than expected, he decided to film a new movie using the same sets. I think we all know which movie that was.
Yeah. Which it's also public domain, so they can legally say it.
Yeah.
Little Shop was never copyrighted. They fucked up the registration, so it was public domain immediately.
It's a story for the people.
It's the same thing that happened to Night of the Living Dead. They filed the thing wrong, so it just immediately entered the public domain once it left theaters.
Then the next fun fact is star Dick Miller adopted his character's name, Walter Paisley, from this movie and used it in other films, including Chopping Mall and Shake, Rattle, and Rock. Was that one of the movies you had listed, William?
Yes.
And then the final fun fact, 35 years after its theatrical release, the film spawned a 1995 TV movie version of the same name. I'm assuming that's the version we were talking about in the cold open.
Probably.
James, you need to make a video that is ranking every Walter Paisley movie.
That would be great.
That's
I'll do it for like April Fool's Day or something.
Yeah, just have me and Hal edit the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Every
I
Walter
need to
Paisley
understand.
movie.
I gotta see the Walter Paisley cinematic universe.
It'll give you an excuse to watch Chopping Mall.
Ooh.
True. It will.
I'd love to hear James's thoughts on Shopping Mall.
I still need to watch Chopping Mall.
Oh, so I'm the only one here who has seen Shopping Mall.
Because there were like several times where I should have ordered the Blu-ray and I just didn't.
Okay. I mean, it has been a bunch of years since I've seen it. I think I saw it October of 2020. So I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember having a fun time.
It's one of those movies that I shockingly have not seen yet that I absolutely should have on several occasions and just haven't gotten to.
Yeah. You'll get to it, though. It's Shopping Mall.
Yeah, it's Chopping Mall. Dick Miller's in the Elvira movie.
He is? Yeah, I remember seeing that.
He plays the same character in both Gremlins. I think I remember like in Gremlins 2 and like he first sees the Gremlins, he has a fucking panic attack. It's like, oh no, what's happening again?
Well, is there anything else we wanted to say about Bucket of Blood?
Walter Paisley is born.
I agree to that.
That he sure is.
I need to now load up the Wikipedia article for The Terror because this is going to be most of the discussion for The Terror.
Yeah, so while you do that, I just want to say I'm keeping this MGM DVD of A Bucket of Blood. It's a very, very cute DVD. It doesn't come with subtitles, but who cares? The back of the box makes it all worth it, as do the little fun facts. It's just
But you know what?
It's a cute DVD.
I actually want to talk about like the original poster for Bucket of Blood.
Please do, because
one.
Yeah, because it's featured on the back of this DVD as well.
And it's very funny because it has nothing to do with the movie itself.
It doesn't.
Because I am willing to bet that this is one of those deals where they came up with the title and the poster before they shot the movie.
Yes.
I'm willing to bet that. I don't know if that's actually true. And I didn't see it that on the thing, but like I want to bet that that's probably what happened because like it's just multiple different comic panels basically of monsters going to see the movie. It says you'll be sick from laughing, and you see skeletons pouring a bucket of blood down to the bottom of it, and there's just multiple different comic panels. Like the first one is a vampire going to see it, and caption is movie. I thought this was a restaurant. You see the fucking monsters walking up to the usher and goes, "Are you together?" There's a guy who's like at a drive-in riding a fucking dinosaur, and this caption is, "What can I do? He paid his admission just like you." All I said was that Bucket of Blood was coming on. Lady, please remove your hat. As the lady removes her entire head. What a night. 14 people shrieked, 9 people fainted, and one of our ushers is missing. Well, that's not Bucket of Blood, that's Terrifier.
Yes.
Which already Terrifier free, not out in theaters at the time of this recording, but maybe by the time this goes up, happening again. People are fainting and throwing up again.
Good
job, Art. You did it. Also, like around here, like I was looking up showtimes and like, because me and my sister were gonna go. Fucking is packed every night until Monday.
Oof.
So we're waiting to like that Monday to see it because there's only one showtime every day at 7.
Yeah, it's one of those you gotta see it and like because no, that makes sense.
Plus, like they confirmed that Ice Nine Kills is doing the official song for the movie, which is very fun. Go Bucket of Blood.
Good movie.
I like the one of the options for backdrop on Letterboxd is him showing Leonard the head.
Yeah, that's a good backdrop. I have the one where it's dead cat.
They didn't pick that one though, because I knew the cropping was going to be terrible on Letterboxd, and it is.
Yeah, but still,
which also makes it funny.
Yeah, exactly. I choose funny.
All right, so now time for The Terror, one of the most infamous Corman films.
Infamous.
Oh, really?
Because like I've heard about that. Well, purely because of that behind the scenes.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So do we want to give some context first and then talk about the movie and then talk about the actual behind the scenes stuff?
Sure.
So for context, before this movie, Corman was doing a cycle of films based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. He was doing stuff like Pin the Pendulum, Fall House of Usher, stuff like that, and they were all being very successful. They looked great. They starred Vincent Price. So, like, he was getting a lot of success out of those movies. He wanted to make his own movie in that kind of a style at some point that wasn't actually based on Poe's work, but had the feeling of it. So, he was working on The Raven, and Boris Karloff, I believe, was in that film, if I'm correct. Let me double check. Yeah, Boris Karloff was in the film, and he was available. And the sets from The Raven was still going to be available to use for a little bit longer than that. So Corman decided, we'll make a movie, and we're going to reuse these sets. And we're going to have Boris Karloff in it. That was the start of the production of The Terror. So he went up to his writer, Leo Gordon, and he said, Chuck Griffith. I called Chuck and told him to write a bunch of scenes for Boris Karloff in a castle. Chuck asked, "What's the story?" Roger said, "No story, just a lot of castle."
No story.
Just castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot more to the production than that, but that was the genesis of them making the movie. So the end result is the Jack Nicholson starring film The Terror. Boris Karloff, Jack Nicholson, Dick Miller, Sandra Knight, Dorothy Newman, and Jonathan Hayes, who Jonathan Hayes is the guy who plays Seymour in the original Little Shop.
That's cool.
He was Gustav, a lost village man who became the witch's servant is Jonathan Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Seymour. That's Seymour in Little Shop.
The guy who can't talk until he can.
Yes, until they decided actually we need someone for him to talk to, so he can talk now.
Yeah, he can talk now.
And then Dick Miller, who played the main character last movie, is the butler of the Baron in this one. And then Jack Nicholson is the main character. Which, side note, so it's established that Jack Nicholson's character is part of Napoleon's army. He's a lieutenant. So it's like, lieutenant's pretty important, right? What is Napoleon thinking while this is all happening? Like, where the fuck is my lieutenant? And then all of a sudden, it's like, you just hard cut to Jack Nicholson getting attacked by a raven for no reason. And like wondering about like, is this the Baron or the son, or is the Baron the son? Who is Ghost Witch? Why do I want to fuck Ghost Witch? Which, fun fact, in real life, Jack Nicholson fucked the Ghost Witch lady.
Oh. I mean...
Jack Nicholson and Sandra Knight were in a relationship at this point, and when they had to do the reshoots for the final scene, they only show her from, like, her chest up, because by that point, he got her pregnant.
Oh my god.
So that's why you only see her from like the top of her body up, because oops.
I love this movie's production. It's so funny.
Yeah, James, we have not even gotten to the half of it, for the record.
Now,
oh my god.
I'll tell you that we'll start here. This movie was directed by Roger Corman. Asterisk.
Okay. All right. So I guess you'll tell me more later.
Yes, we'll get into that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the actual film as best we can, because I'm not going to lie.
There's not a whole lot to talk about.
There really isn't. It's not a very talkable movie, Like, I would say...
Yeah, well...
Out of all movies we've ever talked about... Of all movies we've talked about on this podcast, I really think this is not the worst one, but it is the one I probably have the least to say about it, like, period.
It's one of those they walked around the woods for out kind of movies. The only benefit is that the locations in here are more interesting than walking around the woods. Because, like, at least they have the cool-looking beach and the castle.
That's really all I got out of this movie. I was like, wow, that's a cool castle. Wow, I guess the actors are doing okay.
Which, to be fair,
I retained nothing from this. I was so bored watching this last night. Oh my god.
Which, reminder, the reason like the sets are so good is because they were reused from a different movie.
Yeah.
Because the Poe films, I think, were actual studio productions. Corman did this by himself.
I have nothing to say about this movie, to be honest. Like, I don't know.
Really is carried by just the
it's like-
absurdity of the production because it explains everything but also nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Okay,
in
well-
interviews, like Jack Nicholson has said about this movie, to this day, nobody knows what the plot of The Terror is.
I can kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
Let me
Kinda.
let me do my best. Okay. So Jack Nicholson happens upon a castle, and he
First he got lost from his regiment and he's stranded on the beach and almost drowns.
but he finds a
in
woman.
real life, he almost drowns.
Yeah. He finds a woman, and he wants to talk to this woman. He's bewitched by her, I guess.
And then it turns out the woman is also a witch,
but also
in real life.
but also a ghost.
Ghost witch.
She's a ghost witch.
Well, the young woman is the ghost, but the witch is the regular one who's also a ghost, I guess.
That's right. So there is a witch character in the woods, but there's also a ghost witch character. Hold on.
Okay, they're not the same. Okay.
No, because the
Okay,
woman in
I
the woods is a witch. The woman he meets at the beach is the ghost of the Baroness ghost. So then he goes to the woman in the woods who's a witch, and for some reason she's being very coy about this woman that he saw. She's saying, hey, you didn't see this woman. He's like, but I did see this woman, and that goes nowhere. And then Gustav, her mute but not mute assistant, tells him later on, hey, you should go to that castle. So now he goes to the castle.
There he meets elderly Boris Karloff, who is the Baron von Lepp.
Mm-hmm. And
who killed his wife because she was cheating on him with someone. He also killed the guy who was cheating with her,
exactly.
Who was the son of the witch, I think.
Son of the witch.
Yes.
He has.
But then we find. Well, I mean, do we want to cut to there already, or just keep going?
Is
there anything else to actually talk about?
No, nothing happens between. No,
because then they wander around the castle in the woods for the next 50 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, nothing happens. It's just them wandering around.
And then eventually, Dick Miller, who has just had it up to here with Jack Nicholson existing, tells him, okay, so actually what happened was that the Baron didn't kill the wife and the son. The son actually killed the Baron, but then the son went crazy and thought he was the Baron.
Yeah, he feels so guilty for killing the Baron
that he becomes the Baron.
And then the wife, the Baroness, how does she die again?
Because she was trying to like start the flood to kill the Baron, but then she tries to stop because she realized that it was actually her son the whole time.
No. The Baroness. Like, why does the Baroness die?
Oh, the ghost.
The ghost. Why does she die? Or how does she die?
She made a pact with the devil or something, according to Wikipedia.
No, that the witch made the pact with the devil. I'm talking about the Baroness ghost.
Oh wait, well because I forgot.
So the Baron, does he kill does the Baron, is it explained that the Baron
be dead or something?
Does the Baron kill the Baroness?
Well, she's a ghost, so I guess she was already dead, but then she turns into a rotting corpse or something.
Right, so but she's dead the whole movie, but her ghost is haunting everything. And so then, but
I guess because since the place got flooded and destroyed, there's nothing holding her in that realm anymore or something.
I guess.
Maybe.
My question though is when did she die? Well, okay, it's not when did she die. How did she die?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess the Baron killed the wife, and then the son killed the Baron, and then the son became the Baron.
Right, and Stefan was just okay with that for some reason. I
guess he was still getting paid.
I guess.
Still got room and board.
Yeah, room and board, sure. And so then, the witch finds out somehow, and so then that's when she makes the pact with the devil, and fucking, what's the point of the bird again?
I'm glad you guys remember all these plot details because I don't remember any of this.
There's a
watched
bird
this last night.
throughout the movie, and the bird.
There was a bird. Yeah.
The bird is like controlled by the
One
witch.
guy.
And then the witch. Okay, the witch controls the ghost, but then the ghost has plans of her own. Because remember, the witch has the ghost Baroness like being hypnotized by that Simon lamp at one point in the movie. It really happened, I swear.
And then there's a flood because
yeah. So then there's a flood. The witch dies.
And then everyone dies except Jack Nicholson, I think.
And he saves the one person who is already dead. And he brings her up, and that's when she rots away because
then Jack Nicholson goes back to fight in the war and probably die because of Napoleon.
And then Napoleon
and then he was there for a shot at cannonball at the pyramids or something, I guess.
And then he goes to Italy and meets a bunch of time bandits, and then it's the movie Time Bandits all of a sudden. Okay, we wrapped it up. Good for us. That's the terror. It's terrifying because it.
So now do we talk about the production now?
Yeah, there's nothing to say about the movie.
That's the real part because it explains everything and nothing.
That's the real meat and potatoes.
So okay,
please,
William.
Yeah.
So
please enlighten me.
They had access to Boris Karloff, Frankenstein's monster, of course, the narrator from The Grinch, and they had these sets. They were used these high quality sets from The Raven with the Raven film. So within 2 days, they get the script for Boris Karloff in a castle. Initially, the only things Roger Corman actually directed was all the scenes of Boris Karloff walking around a castle. And then they said, all right, we have all this. We'll make a movie with this later.
Okay.
And at that point, Roger is busy with other things. So then it was like, he just got all his other friends who directed for him to direct parts of the movie. So Corman only actually directed the shots of Boris Karloff walking around the castle and I think the ending of the film. Where he directed the scene where Dick Miller has to tell explain the plot to Jack Nicholson, where the Baron is not the Baron, the Baron's the son's the Baron.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the scenes that Corman actually directed, which I have a quote from Nicholson here. He said, Nicholson later reflected on the movie fondly, saying, I had a great time, paid the rent. They don't make movies like The Terror anymore. You name a movie made like The Terror?
I
no
guess
movie has been made like this ever. So, I'm gonna read you all the names of the people who technically directed parts for this movie.
Please.
Francis Ford Coppola, Dennis Jacob, Monty Hellman, Jack Hill, Jack Nicholson directed a scene, and then Corman finished it off.
Oh my god.
If you were unaware, Coppola started with Corman.
Yeah, I did know that, yeah. Well, film is a collaborative effort, so, I mean, we should applaud that this movie had so many people contributing to it. Clearly, it turned out so well.
It has the director lineup of an anthology film, but it's a single narrative film.
And because they were making it up the narrative as they went along. It was like they did the stuff of Boris in the castle, and then a couple of months later, they called up Dick Miller, and Dick Miller got a phone call saying, hey, we're going to make the movie now. And Dick was like, oh, right, we have to do that. So he hired Coppola to work as an assistant on Battle Beyond the Sun and Haunted Palace. So he had Coppola go to the Big Sur, which was the beach, to film stuff. So all that stuff on the beach, that was Coppola.
Okay. That's,
So anything you saw with like the beach, that is Coppola's doing. Apparently, at one point when he got covered by the waves, Jack Nicholson almost drowned because of his uniform was so heavy.
Oh no! Was this like before Coppola had ever made any of his own films?
I believe so. His first directorial debut was Dementia 13, also produced by Corman. which this film was apparently released as a double bill with that. So this is one of Coppola's earliest works.
Wow. That is more interesting than anything that happens in the movie. You're right.
Yeah. Nicholson said he almost drowned shooting a scene in the ocean at Big Sur. He was knocked over by a wave and his uniform almost dragged him down. During the shoot at Big Sur, Sandra Knight became pregnant for Jennifer, her daughter, with Nicholson. So while they were filming the beach stuff, he had a lot of sex, is what I'm seeing here. Corman says that once there, Coppola decided to change and improve the script and came back with footage that didn't exactly mesh with what I had shot, but it still looked pretty good. So this is like, all right, Coppola, film something. Okay, here's something. All right. So, yeah. And then it's like, all right, Dennis, we need you to do the flood sequence. So, all that, Dennis Jacob filmed the stuff for the flooding scene. Then Monty Hellman was there he shot exteriors at the cliffs of Palos Verdes and scenes at Santa Barbara. Nicholson says this involved more of the Raven stuff in the scenes with Jackie Hayes. And then Jack Hill was hired to rewrite the script for these sequences. Jack Hill, to refresh memories, let me pull up what Jack Hill has done.
He did Sorceress.
Yeah, he did Sorceress.
Our favorite.
He did Coffee and Foxy Brown.
Yeah, a couple of Pam Grier films.
Okay, the main run was the Sorceress, was the one I was pointing out.
Yeah, Sorceress. Oh, God.
Which, James has not seen the Sorceress. My favorite part of that was when I predicted the movie, and you got mad at me for predicting the movie.
You were so good. You were so accurate.
Because it's okay. So that movie is about like two warrior twin ladies who go on a quest. At one point, and it's established in the movie that they can feel what each other feels because they have like a psychic link. So like if one of them feels pain, the other feels it as well. So at one point in the movie, one of them pairs up with the male love interest character, and they go off on their own and they start undressing. At which point I say, hey, wait a minute. If they can feel what each other feels, and then Hal cuts me off saying, William, stop predicting the movie.
By the way, don't look at who executive produced Sorceress, whatever you do.
Okay, I won't. I promise.
You see, you made it sound because I'm like Dan Schneider or something. No, it's just Roger.
Yeah, no, it's Roger. He's everywhere.
Hey, did the effects.
Yeah.
But so Jack Hill came in. He rewrote stuff because there was no plot. So we started to rewrite stuff. We salvaged whatever footage we could salvage that was usable from what Francis shot, which was quite a bit. I like how they have to preface that. And I wrote yet a new story. It required a whole change in story. There is no story in this movie. They were making this up as they went along. So then Jack Hill came in to do actual directing work. And, okay, it just says that he was there to finish the movie. And then but on the last day of what Jack Hill was doing, apparently Jack Nicholson directed on the last day. According to Corman, Nicholson was on the last day. According to Jack Hill, he says, no, Jack didn't direct that day. Corman directed that day, which I feel like at that point, I would have to take Corman's word over Jack Hill's word at that point, right?
Yes.
I was like, well, how would you know, Jack? I feel like Corman, the main guy, would be the more accurate account then. And that was one of the first things that Jack Nicholson would have directed. James, how do you feel hearing all of this?
I'm feeling more emotions than I felt throughout the entirety of the movie. So
you can tell that this was a movie made by 5 different people making it up as they went along.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. Like weirdly now, only now does the movie make sense because nothing in the plot makes sense, but now I understand why.
Oh, that makes sense because it's all bullshit. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, am I missing something? But yeah, it's reaffirming to know that like, no, I'm not missing anything. That's good.
Boris Karloff in a castle. Go.
It's ironic that this stars Boris Karloff because this film is Frankenstein together.
Hey. And it's very funny because
Hey.
because of this movie, Boris Karloff owed Roger Corman a favor. So then, a couple years later, Peter Bogdanovich wanted to make a movie, and he came to Corman to produce. And with that, he got Boris Karloff involved because he owed that favor, and that is how he got Targets,
Which I hear is good.
entered the Criterion Collection last year. If you want to know how good the Targets is,
Yeah, I hear it's good. I've been meaning to watch it.
I watched it last year. It's a good movie. Boris Karloff plays a classic horror actor who is at the end of his career and feels like he's washed up. And the main villain is a guy who just says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna kill people." It's better than I'm making it sound.
No, it sounds great already.
I mean, Peter Bogdanovich like pulled the boy up. Actual well-known director Peter Bogdanovich. He did Paper Moon, The Last Picture Show, She's Funny That Way, Targets, Saint Jack. He worked on like a Buster Keaton thing, a documentary. He did a Tom Petty movie.
Mm-hmm. And you're just looking at his letterbox, correct?
Yeah.
Because let me blow your minds, okay? He is also in The Sopranos as Dr. Melfi's therapist.
He has a shit ton of acting credits, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a director, actor. He's done it all.
He, oh, you're not going to like this. His most popular movie as an actor is It Chapter 2.
That's so funny. You know what? He makes up for it by being an F is for fake, so that's fine.
Well, he's in the Corman documentary, Corman's World.
Mm-hmm.
He's in The Wild Angel, which is one of those movies that like I hear is pretty good that Corman did, and that stars Peter Fonda. Because Peter Fonda got his star of Corman as an actor.
That makes sense.
You know, a fun fact I learned watching the Corman documentary: Corman almost got to produce Easy Rider.
No kidding.
But the reason that they lost the movie was because the staff at AIP that wasn't Corman didn't like Peter Fonda.
Oh.
Like, Corman was begging them, no, produce this movie. It's going to be really good. Like, no, we don't like Peter Fonda. So then Easy Rider became the biggest thing ever. And it's like, God damn it.
Yeah. What's not to like about Peter Fonda? He was in Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
They just didn't like Peter Fonda for some reason. Like, the executives at AFP kind of screwed Corman over a couple times.
Yeah, that sucks.
And there were some things where Corman did make mistakes of his own, like he almost got Mean Streets with Scorsese. but Corman wanted the movie to be a black film with black actors, but Scorsese's like, no, I want this to be an Italian film.
Yeah.
So that was like, said, all right, well, Marty, that's what the movie you want to make. I'm not going to be able to do it for you, but I wish you all the luck in the world, and it paid off for Marty.
Yeah. You know what? I'd like to believe, even though Corman was probably like a little disappointed, he was more so happy for Scorsese.
Yeah. He's more happy like Fonda and Scorsese. It's like, hey, I got you guys in there. That's the goal.
Yeah. That's a thing. Like, when we talk about Corman being kind of the genesis for a lot of filmmakers' careers, it's not, he never comes across as like, I started it, I'm the most important. Like, he seems very humble when talking about it.
And like, he stayed friends with most of them throughout his life. Like, Jack Nicholson, like at the end of that documentary, famously, Jack Nicholson started tearing up thinking about working with Corman.
Yeah, I remember.
Because like he just remembers that so fondly.
Yeah,
because they were friends the whole time. Ron Howard was in there because he started with Corman as well. Famously director of let me find the good ones he's done. Is Da Vinci Code good?
I never saw it.
Well, he did Willow.
No idea.
I haven't seen that either.
He did Splash.
Say the one that everybody knows. Come on.
The Grinch.
Yes.
He also did Solo. Let me find the Apollo 13.
Okay, yes. You know what? Good.
Okay.
Apollo 13. I love Apollo 13. That's a great movie.
He did Night Shift.
I hear that's good. I haven't seen it.
He directed the recent Jim Henson documentary, Idea Man.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see that too.
Was he? Yeah, Ron Howard's also been an actor. What did Ron Howard start? Oh, right, he was in American Graffiti. Duh.
Yeah, in Happy Days.
Yeah.
Before the Fonz took over. So yeah, the terror.
What else is there to talk about? Because at this point, I guess we can just talk about Corman himself. Because that's just kind of how this is going.
Yeah, if you have anything else to say about Corman, by all means. I mean, I have I guess to connect it a little to the Terror, I do own it physically, technically. So
the way you own it is one of the Mill Creek 50 movie collections.
Exactly. Yes, I have the Mill Creek Horror Classics collection that has 50 movies, and one of them is The Terror. I didn't watch all 50, so I won't talk about this DVD just yet. I'll save that for another time. I'm just saying, to put it out there, I do own The Terror physically, but only technically.
Which Mill Creek is just such a fun company because it's like they have done legitimately great stuff. Like the work they've done with Ultraman has been great. They did that awesome. They did some really cool steelbooks, like their Mothra and Metropolis steelbooks are great. And then at the same time, they'll also do the 50 movie packs, and then they'll release King of Queens on DVD and still put them in little sleeves for some reason.
Yeah, the sleeves are obnoxious. It's so funny, though.
Yeah. Like, oh, we're still doing this nowadays? I like how when I look up the images of the Mothra Steelbook on Google, one of them that comes up a couple rows in is Rob's old thumbnail from when he got it.
Rob Gira, go fuck yourself. Shadow ban me.
And that's from him using and that's an older video because that's one of his old icons.
That's a cute icon.
He hasn't used that in years. But yeah, like it is like a really great steelbook. It's the first time we got the Japanese version of the film in America, so that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
And then they'll make those 50 movie packs, which are just terrible. But you gotta love them because they suck so much. They're just so funny.
Roger Corman, love him or hate him.
Because for clarity, we first watched this the night that we found out he died.
Yes.
And we were like actively looking up information about the production of it as we were watching it.
Yes. And wow, that was quite the experience. Probably added to why I considered like we were just kind of we were all excited that night. We were trying to pay homage to him because he is a very influential figure in the world of filmmaking. And so that probably added to my very positive rating the first time around, but I'm glad we rewatched it.
Positive, but we still gave it like a 3 stars.
Yeah, but that's positive.
We gave it.
Listen,
we gave it good.
Listen, that's positive considering the movies we've seen from Corman.
Right.
So.
Right.
But yes, and then
realistically, it's like a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah,
I still think the production adds to it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It is not a good movie. It's not the worst thing we've ever seen. Like, this is not the worst Corman film I've seen. But it is not as interesting as its production is. Its production is what makes it worth talking about and why we're bringing it up on the podcast.
I mean, it makes me want to actually finally watch the post-cycle films. I own a couple of them on Blu-ray already because I have a Vincent Price collection that has like 4 of them on there.
Oh yeah, I need to watch more.
And
Vincent
I hear
Price
those are
movies
like,
anyway.
And I hear those are like legitimately great. So I need to get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me personally, it's like I never like I like to make jokes about like Roger Corman and how much I'm like frustrated whenever I see his credit pop up when we watch a Wheel Night movie or anything, but. I genuinely do respect him a ton. Like, filmmaking as we know it would not be the same without him. He's just, like, really cool. So, yeah.
I'm glad he's recording what he's saying so that it's perfectly clear on his end, but for us, we just heard a robot trail off into the void.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure he is very insightful.
Yeah.
The audience is loving it. We don't know what he just said.
No, I'll know what he's saying once I go to edit.
I will never know what he said.
I think the connection is still a little spotty, even with the mobile hotspot.
Yeah, so we can wrap it up soon. So yeah, any closing thoughts?
What do you mean this isn't going to be a 3-hour episode?
Don't you even.
My closing thoughts is go watch A Bucket of Blood. It's free on YouTube. It's really good. Yeah. And read up on the history on the other one.
I would say I'd also recommend, if you want to actually learn about Corman as a person, go look up the Corman's World documentary. It should still be up on YouTube. That's how I watched it. Obviously, since it's about him, it's going to portray him in a positive light overall regardless, because you're not going to make a documentary shitting on someone. But it does, like, go over, like, everything. and like you get like the perspectives of like Scorsese, Nicholson, Dick Miller. I'm pretty sure is there. Ron Howard's there. His wife is there. So like, if you want to learn about Corman, that's a good documentary to watch. Also, Corman has an Oscar technically.
You gonna elaborate on that Oscar?
Yeah, it's technically because it's one of those lifetime achievement Oscars.
Yeah. Well, he's been in
like,
Oscar-winning films because he was the FBI director in Silence of the Lambs.
Right, because people in the film industry loved Corman. Because again, he helped so many of them get their start. So like, yeah, they're gonna put him in things as a tribute to him. Like he's in Silence of the Lambs. Like now I gotta pull up what he's been in.
He was in Apollo 13, if I remember correctly.
He has 123 acting credits. He's a senator in Godfather 2. So there's Marty putting him in. No, that's Coppola putting him in something.
That's Coppola putting him in something.
He's in Scream 3 as a studio exec. He's in Philadelphia as Mr. Laird. He's in The Manchurian Candidate. Famously in Looney Tunes Back in Action, he's directing a Batman movie.
Oh, we were so robbed.
At least we got a Fantastic Four movie from him, technically.
Technically.
That the infamous Ashcan film that was made explicitly to be a tax write-off. At least that one leaked out so people can watch it. And ironically, I hear that it's one of the best Fantastic Four movies. I know that's not saying a whole lot, but...
I've heard it's the best, just because the other ones are really bad.
He played a doctor in one of his own movies. Movie people would know. He's in Sharktopus, but he produced that, so... What else was he actually in? He's in a Stan Lee documentary. He's in Ski Troop Attack. Okay, I feel like a lot of these now are we're just jumping into documentaries. Yeah, now I'm keep scrolling. We're just finding like documentary stuff that he'd be in because duh. But yeah, he's in Silence of the Lambs. He's in Swing Shift.
Nice.
Anyone watch Swing Shift?
I've never even heard of that.
Anyone watch Cannonball? He's in that as an attorney.
You could be making these up for all I know.
He's in The Day the World Ended. He also directed that one, so I don't know if that counts. Wait, I'm sorry, what is that? Okay, his role in The Day the World Ended is Nelson, Louise's fiance in framed photograph, uncredited.
Oh, that's how they get away with it.
He's a beachrum in Sharktopus. He's in an alien documentary for some reason. I guess because if they talk about aliens, I guess that's relevant because James Cameron... No, he didn't work with James Cameron. No, because James Cameron did Piranha 2, but Joe Dante did Piranha 1, and that's the Corman connection. Did he produce Piranha 2? Okay, let's go over every...
Oops. I think my Wi-Fi cut out. Okay. I will say, Hal, put this in the video. I will say, hey, go check out A Bucket of Blood. That is my thing. I'm Schaffrillas. You can find me at Schaffrillas. The end. Okay, so that was my outro.
Oh, James died. Let's go over every movie Roger Corman produced. Mask of Red Death, Death Race Remake, Fall of the House of Usher, Little Shop of Horrors, The Pin and the Pendulum, Bucket of Blood, God Told Me To, Boxcar Bertha, Humanoids from the Deep, The Raven, The Trip, Dementia 13, Suburbia, The Haunted Palace, My American Uncle, The X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes, Galaxy of Terror, Ride in the Whirlwind, Tales of Terror, The Terror, The Intruder, Forbidden World, St. Jack, Cockfighter, Caged Heat, The Wasp Woman, Slumber Party Massacre 3, Premature Burial, Attack of the Crab Monsters, The Wild Angels, Sharktopus, Bloody Mama, Frankenstein Unbound, Cannonball, Munchies, The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Lady Frankenstein, James's data got used up, The Creature from the Haunted Sea, The Undead, Death Sport, Not of This Earth, Woman in Cages, Avalanche, Mountaintop Hotel Massacre, Splatter. Big bad mama. Street gun sorority house happening too. Drug lords versus the terror within. The street walking. Ain't limited. Yes. Fighting mad. Territory. Long-term stories. Planet prehistoric women. Battle beyond the sun. Streets. Naked vengeance. Only after the page. By Flow. Amazons. Ilsa, the Tiger of Siberia. Cornerstone 2. Rock All Night. So the saga of the Viking Limited sorority girl. My throat's starting to hurt. I'm going to stop now. Wait, he produced Down and Dirty Duck? Excuse me? You know what that movie is, right, Hal?
Yeah, I know what Down and Dirty Duck is.
Yeah, he produced this movie?
That doesn't necessarily surprise me, but sure.
Okay, he was one of the producers. There were two producers.
Okay, then.